Hi everybody, this is Lee at Fresh Astrology. We are looking at May 15th and we have a new moon in Taurus. The sun is nearing the end of its transit through Taurus, as is the moon, as it becomes a new moon. And we have on the same day the transition of Uranus into Taurus, which we've been talking a lot about. So the new moon amplifies, because the word new is operative here. So new moons do tend to be kind of new doorways. We walk over a new threshold. We go into new territory with a new plan, something new starting, or new ideas. And that's greatly amplified by the fact that this new moon occurs on the same day that we have Uranus coming into totally new territory. Uranus moves very slowly. So most of us have not lived through Uranus in this exact spot. There are some people who are in their 80s, 90s, or beyond who've experienced this, but you have to be quite old, frankly, to have experienced this. So a lot of you may be having, if you are older, having a Uranus return. Maybe it's coming back to where it was when you were born. So another amplifying effect, there are a lot of things amplifying this. The new moon, so the sun and the moon are opposing Jupiter in Scorpio. Jupiter expands what it touches. So not only is Jupiter expanding, the area of your chart that has to do with Scorpio, but it's expanding the new moon. It's expanding what's happening with the new moon. It's expanding what's happening with Pluto in Capricorn. It's even having a bit of an effect on Mars moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. Jupiter is amplifying Neptune and Pisces. So there's a lot of amplification here. And then we have Mercury also in these early degrees of Taurus. And Mercury and Uranus have a bit of a simpatico relationship. So there's this idea of messages, travel, news, the media, data, communications, the internet, satellite systems. And it's all, not all of it, but there's a lot of emphasis on all things Taurus. So, new systems, new ways to develop currency, new ways to transmit currency, new ways to talk about money, new software, banking software, investment software. So you can kind of see that theme in certain instances, but it's all, and currency, kind of cryptocurrencies out there as a part of this big soup, this pot of soup that is now. There are a lot of things going on, but we are in the age of information, in the age of data, transmitting, and the high velocity and the great amount of data that can be transmitted almost instantaneously. So that, sort of the world we've evolved into this age of information and data, is a big part of the larger picture. But for you personally, there's this very much a new way of thinking. Both Uranus and Mercury are of the mind, very much how you think, how quickly you can move from one concept to the next. A lot of people believe that we're taking greater leaps and bounds in the whole way we even approach thought and awareness. And there may be something to that. I mean, I've certainly read a lot about that and can kind of see it in my own thinking. I see it in the world around me. We're developing new ways of thinking about thinking. And and maybe there will be a new discovery around this time about the way the brain works or about communication or thinking. So it's a time of understanding the brain and maybe beyond the brain, because not all thought takes place in the brain. Not all information is transmitted through the brain. The brain plays a role, but we can get information from other sources like our senses. And of course, Taurus is all about the five senses. And 5 is a limit that perhaps does not exist in reality, but we certainly are aware of the 5 senses. But I think there are many, many more. But, we tend to define and lump a lot of things in each of those: sight, hearing, touch, but there are different kinds of touch. And we can touch things, just exactly, or we can even be a few feet away and have a feeling on our skin about something that's a few feet away. Certainly an easy way to comprehend that would be cold and warmth. Something hot like a fireplace is a few feet away, you feel that warmth. But it's also true that we walk into a room sometimes, or somebody walks up to us, and that person could still be anywhere from 3 feet away to 20 feet away, and we feel something that it feels maybe like our skin is picking it up, but what is? I don't know. But Taurus is all about the senses, and we can be open to the question, are there more than 5? I would say there are, we just haven't defined them yet. And we may, things that seem to come through our skin, so it would be touch, maybe you could break the types of things that come through the skin, sensations that come through the skin, break them down into different categories. Likewise with sight, and hearing, taste, we could break them down into smaller bits. Because sometimes, have you ever had the feeling of, like, say you just have one of those moments where you smell something, or you walk into an old building and it maybe reminds you of your past or your grandparents, and suddenly you can almost feel like you're back in time in your grandparents' home or with them. And there were certain smells, like in one grandparent's home, they had this leather couch that was ancient, and it had a very distinct smell. And my grandmother was like neurotic about cleaning. So her house was just always everything was polished and shining. And so there was a very clean, lack of dust feeling in her home. And there were very distinct smells that went with my grandparents. Pleasant, but unique. And when you're experiencing that smell of the past and the way it felt to be in their home, it's very sensual in the sense that our senses are working. But of course we're not there, we're here. And so that's a type of sensation too. That's a kind of a sense capacity we have to remember the way things smelled and sounded and felt. But I would offer that it's not just memory, because it becomes very real. We can almost smell it in the present, or we can smell in the present, or we can feel the temperature of wherever that was. That's a kind of sensory experience that counts. And so with Taurus, begin to notice your senses. What do you pick up in your environment? How do you interact with your environment? And what do you pick up? Do you tend to rush around with your head spinning with thoughts and worries and plans so that you're missing out on experiencing your life? Do you even know what it means to experience your life? Experiencing your life is not being up in your head at all. So if you think that a state of walking around and thinking and planning is experiencing your reality, you're wrong. You're just wrong. And but a lot of us do make that mistake. We think we're experiencing reality but what we're really experiencing is what it's like to be up in our head. But there's another whole reality out there that sometimes when we're on vacation or maybe very sick, we begin to get pulled out of our brain and our thoughts and our plans, and we get more in the place where we are. Some people get there through meditation. But even then, some people in meditation just kind of zone out. They're not necessarily fully there. There are different ways of meditating. Some take you kind of on this journey that's sort of far out, and one can lose touch with where one is in space and time as they're doing a kind of traveling kind of meditation in their mind, where they're going somewhere but it's not here. And that person who's doing that kind of meditation may lose track of what their senses or what kind of experience they could have just sitting in that room where they are doing the meditation, or on that beach or mountaintop doing the meditation. This is a time to, and what might feel amplified if you allow it to get amplified, is your ability to be here in the present and develop your awareness of being in the moment. It's a great time to work on that skill. If it's something, like if you're thinking, well, I don't care about that. I know about meditation. Don't talk to me about that. I don't want to hear about being in the now. I want to hear about getting married or getting rich or whatever. I would suggest to you that you're more likely to have a solid relationship that could develop into a solid marriage if you work on this new way of thinking and sensing the world and get more grounded in your senses. And notice that your senses do more than perhaps we've given them credit for. Develop your awareness. I would offer that may be the way you actually get what you actually want from astrology. A lot of people go to astrology because they want to know mostly that something good's out there for them. Something good is going to happen. They want to be reassured. And they want to know, you want to know usually if love will be in your life or stay in your life. And you want to know usually if you'll be comfortable financially, that you'll keep your home or you'll find a home, or you'll get out of poverty, or you'll get out of a bad relationship. That's what most of you want to know. That's the human condition. I would offer to you that one of the ways that's available to actually bring about the kind of change you want is the clues are hidden in what's happening in the astrology right now. So the way you get what you want is to, I would say, for the next 7 years, really be developing an awareness of how you think, an awareness of how you experience the present moment. If you heighten your senses and learn more about how they work. And you don't need to do a lot of book learning about this. You can, but you can just get into your own body. Take your shoes off and feel the soles of your feet, on the floor in your house. Feel the soles of your feet on the sand or in the dirt or on the grass. Notice the smells, that you encounter throughout the day. Notice the vibrational feeling of the people around you, the atmosphere. Be aware of your senses, and it pulls you more into the moment. And the more, we could talk about this, and there are a lot of people who put out this idea and done a lot of writing and lecturing on this, and even scientific study. But being pulled into the moment, finding ways to pull yourself in the moment. It's a way of improving your life. And you don't even have to like sit and say Om and meditate to do this. It's a practice. You can do it anytime, anywhere. You don't have to close your eyes. In fact, sometimes it's better not to. But just reminding yourself whenever you kind of wake up out of your busy thinking throughout the day, to just be in your body, to feel the soles of your feet. Even if you do have your shoes on, just go into the soles of your feet. Stop and notice what your body feels like at this particular moment. Take a deep breath. One of the quickest ways to get into your body is to notice your breath. And to maybe actually encourage yourself to breathe. Because often we forget to breathe. We can't totally, it is something that's like this autonomic system and it goes and goes, but we can hold our breath and restrict our breath. So usually when we start to notice our breathing, we'll increase our breathing capacity, and that's very good for us. So just practice being in the moment, because things will be going quickly, there will be things going on, there's going to be this element of the unexpected. The more you can get into your body and experience the moment and expand your awareness through your senses, notice the way you think, slow your thinking down, the more you're going to make progress in your life. So slowing down is a way of actually moving forward. So I would say, if you want a secret that will help move you forward in a healthier way, there's this idea of slowing down enough to be in the moment. Get out of your head, drop into your body, develop your senses. I would say there are more than 5. That's one of the secrets to dealing with whatever is coming up for us. Because there will be this unexpected quality. Every time you start to freak out or feel anxious or unsure or anything that's sort of on the negative side, just stop. Breathe. Go into your senses. Notice wherever you happen to be, whether you're in a train station or wherever you are. Throughout the day, just stop every so often and just notice the stillness that's in each moment. And oddly, when we can slow down and go into this stillness that is in this moment now, we can travel light years forward. Our awareness increases exponentially, and when we do this more consistently and make it more a part of each day or whenever we think of it, the more we bring that kind of stillness and the ability to just stop into our lives, that's when radical change can happen of a more positive nature. And that's what I wish for all of you, that you get a more positive kind of change. Because I hear lots of sad stories in the profession. I'm a coach and an astrologer, and I hear lots of sadness and stuckness. And I want to give you some secret tools, or not so secret, to help you get through what's happening now. And there's a lot of propulsion and energy pushing us forward, but the way to capitalize on it and feel good about what's happening is to use some of these little tricks that I teach people when I coach them. And this is one of them, and it's very highly indicated here as a great time to work on this. Getting into your senses means getting into your body, not being up here, being more down here in the heart or in the soles of the feet. Seems so far away from the brain, the soles of the feet. Soles of the feet seem so far away from the heart, but even the soles of the feet have a certain kind of intelligence. And it may sound funny, It may sound like it's not true, but I would beg, I could give you, a whole lecture on how the feet are intelligent. But they do. They have a very distinct type of intelligence, your feet. Just keep thinking about your feet. It pulls you out of your brain. And maybe think, write down, when I give people exercises, I would make them tell me 5 ways your feet are intelligent. Tell me in the comments, or just think to yourself, what are 5 ways your feet are actually intelligent? They definitely are. But think about how that might be true. Think about how your heart might be intelligent. So not the thing, in Western culture, we think of this heart-shaped thing that's like a drawing, or we'll say, we think about it in terms of love, but we're not actually thinking of the organ of the heart so much. The organ of the heart is this, it's central to our living. It's central to keeping us alive, and it performs more than just the function of shooting the blood around our body. Throughout the ages, it's been understood that there's a type of intelligence to the heart. So ask yourself, what are 5 ways the heart is intelligent? And not like the little shape of the heart that we draw on Valentine's Day, but just the organ of the heart. How is it intelligent? When we drop into our body and get into our 5 senses, what kind of intelligence comes up? Start to play with that idea, and that is sort of the new thought that's been growing for a while now, but it's blossoming more and more people's awareness, this new thought, which has been around for decades, maybe much longer actually, but it was just far and few between the people who actually participated in this new thought. But now it's spreading through the use of computers. It's the use of computers and smartphones speeds up the way we can communicate ideas to one another at long distance. And so more and more people, a heavier percentage of people out there are kind of expanding into this new thought, this new way of experiencing the world. And I think this Uranus coming in with this new moon is heralding a time when this new way of being in our body, which is really not so new, it's actually quite old, and new way of thinking, which is really not new, it's quite old, but it's spreading into a bigger awareness in societies, in larger groups, where it had been lost for a while. And it's a type of wisdom that we possess that has been lost for many of us for a while. Maybe we never were told about it. And so begin to just train yourself to stop. Notice your breath. So you're not stopping your breathing, but stop thinking, maybe just stop activity. Just stop for a minute. Literally, it could just be a minute, time it. If you feel like you're rushed or you have things to do, I can't just stop, I'm busy. That's a part of our madness, is staying busy. So I think we're learning how to stop. And again, paradoxically, when we learn to stop and slow down, that is when some of the fastest change can happen. Not just internally, not just in the way we think, but in our actual lives. A type of alchemical magic happens. I don't think it's actual magic. I think it's more like in the physical world of physics, maybe biochemistry, but we just don't understand it yet. But it seems like magic that things will begin to change in your life after you do this learning to practice stopping. Noticing the breath getting out of your brain. Change happens very quickly that way, and it's usually of a more positive nature, more lasting nature for the person doing it. So Something to think about at this new moon, at this particular time. All right. Take care, guys.